Well, welcome to Living Beyond Limits, everyone. You all know I'm Reverend Jennifer Spear. We are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living. Welcome, and for those of you joining us online, welcome also. Let's start this service by reading our mission statement that's on the front of your bulletin. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. That's exactly what we are doing here at Living Beyond Limits, as we are waking up to the fact that our innate nature is spiritual, that we are out-picturings of that divine presence that is a presence of love and intelligence and peace and joy and wisdom and good without end. Because what happens when we realize that that is who we are and what we are, we come to the world differently. We come to the world more empowered to bring love into the world, or to be kind when the world is not being kind back, to anchor into our own peace when things are chaotic in the world. We aren't as dependent on the outside world being those things for us. Yes, we all would prefer that they be loving and kind and peaceful and generous, but we aren't reliant on those things to be that way ourselves. And so as we sink into and recognize and feel and sense our own divine nature, we're able to bring those things forward in a greater way. So then we go to the world differently and we act as a beneficial presence. And so I thank every single one of you for answering the call of your spirit to be walking this path, to be bringing your light into this world in a way that is absolutely beneficial to you and to the whole. Thank you for that. Well, do you ever find yourself carrying judgment about yourself for something that you have done or said in the past? Maybe even holding yourself in unforgiveness for something that you did or said in the past. You know, you acted unkind to someone somewhere, or you did something that was kind of not very thoughtful. Or you hurt someone through your actions or your words. Or maybe you irreparably broke something and out of your carelessness because you weren't really paying attention. And that happens to all of us. Those things happen to all of us. But when those things happen, often we react with one out of three different options. We either tell ourselves how terrible we are for doing that thing, whatever it was that we did, and then we condemn ourselves and beat ourselves up about it. And you may have noticed sometimes you do that for weeks or months or even years and hold on to that stuff. And what happens when we do that then is we lose some self-esteem, that our self-approval kind of diminishes and it damages the way that we feel about ourselves. Well, the second thing that some people do when they've made a mistake or hurt someone of something like that is they go into denial and they say, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Or they're just making a big deal out of nothing. It really wasn't that big of a deal. Except when we listen within to our gut, it doesn't feel right. Even though that's the story we're telling ourselves, we know that something wasn't right. And the third thing that people do is they say, oh, well, that's just the way that I am. That's just how I am. And then they walk away. But what if none of those reactions actually serve us? What if instead, whatever it was that happened, whatever it was that you did, is actually essential for your personal growth? What if that thing was actually necessary as a part of your spiritual path, this journey that you are on? Because the truth is, everything in our lives serves us. Everything in our lives supports our growth and our evolution. You know, I know that you all have heard of that word entropy. You know, entropy means a natural tendency toward disorder and decay and less available energy. We can observe that in the fact that your house gets messy. How does that happen? Your house gets messy. You can observe entropy in the fact that after you pour your coffee starts getting cold. You can observe entropy in the fact that when there is a truck parked in an empty lot, it begins rusting over time and breaking down. The tires begin rotting, it starts getting rust. All of those are examples of entropy. Well, Eric Butterworth talks about the opposite of entropy in a scientific term that's called syntropy. He says, "It is interesting that there is mounting evidence for the existence of an opposite scientific principle, syntropy, through which forms tend to reach higher and higher levels of organization, order, and dynamic harmony. Albert Szent-Györgyi, Nobel Prize-winning biologist, refers to it as, quote, an innate drive in living matter to perfect itself. An innate drive in living matter to perfect itself. We have an innate drive within ourselves to perfect ourselves. We have an innate drive within ourselves to actualize more and more of our potential, to actualize more of our spiritual perfection, and to bring that into the world and make that real as we live this human existence. We have something within us, a drive to ever express more of who we are as the infinite potential of the universe, as that force, which is a force for good. That's that syntropy in us. There's something also within us that yearns for freedom. Freedom to actually express all of who we are in this world. To not have to live in confines, to not have to live in judgment, but just a freedom to express who we are in this world. Ernest Holmes refers to that as that we are each on an eternal upward spiral. That's the nature of life and the nature of us as human beings. And so the title of my talk today is An Upward Spiral. And I'm talking about that the very nature of life is to grow and evolve and unfold. That the nature of life is to ever become more and more actualized. I'm also talking about that our current experiences and our past experiences encourage and nourish our growth. And so that is so easy to see, I think, when we have positive experiences in our life. How we build, those positive experiences build us and allow us to become more and build on themselves. You know, we go to first grade and you learn those things in first grade and master them so that they support you in going to second grade. And then you learn those things in second grade and they support you in going to third grade. Those experiences build on themselves to help us actualize ourselves. You know, too, you get a job, your first job that you've ever had, and you learn some skills at that job, and then you master those skills, which enable you then to apply for a harder job because you have that skill set, and so you apply for the more difficult job, and you continue to grow, and you get jobs that are higher up, and you make more money with each one of those jobs. You know, it's so typical that somebody starts out as a busboy, and then eventually they become a waiter, and then how often that person actually ends up becoming the manager of that restaurant. We build on those skills. But negative experiences and the things that we call mistakes that we make, they also enable us to grow. And so you all know that I work 2 days a week as a hairdresser. And the color that I use comes from Germany. It's called Goldwell. And I've been using it for 30 years. And I used to always be able to order directly from Goldwell, and they have gotten rid of their West Coast distribution centers now. So I can't order the color directly. I have to actually go to a beauty supply to get it, you know, which takes more effort, and of course it's more expensive because now there's a middleman in the picture. And notoriously, when I go to that beauty supply, they have colors that I don't need. They have other locations that I could go to, but they are literally the only company I can get my color from in California. So I went there not too long ago, and of course they were out of some colors that I needed, and I was annoyed. And by the time I went up to pay for my color, I kind of barked at the girl that was working there. I was not very kind, I was not very nice, because I was frustrated and irritated. And I kind of felt bad about it. It's like, gosh, Jennifer, you shouldn't act like that. And I took my purchase and I left. And I came back to that beauty supply about 3 or 4 weeks later, and she remembered me, and she remembered my name. How embarrassing is that? You know what? I really did learn from that. I will never act like that with anyone in a business, not just there, but with the cashier when I'm frustrated. So we learn not just from building on the positive things, but we also learn from those mistakes that we make and the things that we do that aren't so great. That discomfort that we feel inside when you do something like that, it is actually an invitation to do something different. It's an invitation to wake up. It's an invitation to discover who we are at a deeper level and to create and become who it is that we want to be in the world. Ernest Holmes says, "We must realize that we are not bound today by any previous mistakes which we have made. For the universe holds nothing against us. Bondage exists only in the human mind. We can be free as soon as we recognize that there is no power to bind us except ourselves." The universe supports our growth. It supports our unfolding. It supports our evolution. Life does. And so the answer then isn't to hold ourselves in condemnation for what we've done. And the answer isn't to deny that we did anything wrong. And the answer isn't to say, oh, well, that's just the way that I am. Oh, well, at that beauty supply, that's just the way that I am, snappy at people when I'm frustrated. The answer then is to use that discomfort that we feel inside of ourselves as an invitation to step out of what is lesser and to step into our own greater that's being invited to come forward. And here's a crazy thing. As long as we hold ourselves in unforgiveness, we don't grow, because it keeps us stuck being the person that we were in that past moment. It doesn't allow us to do something different. We're holding ourselves like we're frozen in time over there. We aren't made to stay stuck. We are meant to grow and to evolve and to become who we are in potential. We've heard that adage, we are either pulled by a vision or pushed by pain. Those are the moments where we're pushed by pain to be more, to be our own greater yet to be. And the thing is to also, that is the same truth if you don't forgive someone else. It also keeps them locked in that past, who they were at that time, and doesn't allow you to experience them differently. It doesn't allow them to be different in your experience. It freezes them in time for whatever it was that happened. There's a story that I'd like to share with you. It says, most of us never get to read our own obituary, but there have been some notable cases where the news of someone's demise was prematurely published in a newspaper. There is at least one case where a premature obituary is said to have been a force for good. Legend has it that when wealthy Swedish-Russian oil magnate Ludwig Nobel died during a visit to Cannes, France on April 12, 1888, a newspaper reporter got wind of the death and printed an obituary. Unfortunately, the journalist got the name wrong and wrote about Ludwig's brother, Alfred. Alfred, who was a chemist inventor, engineer, and businessman. Alfred had embarked on many business ventures, most notably owning a company that manufactured cannons and armaments of war. Alfred was also the inventor of dynamite. Dynamite had been used extensively in mining and the building of transport networks internationally. It had also been used in war to kill people. The obituary was scathing, calling Alfred Nobel, quote, a merchant of death, an inventor of a way of killing people faster than ever before. When Alfred read the obituary, he was said to have been horrified that this was how he would be remembered. It became a major factor in him leaving his fortune to be used to implement the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prizes for outstanding contributions to humanity. Nobel Prizes are awarded annually for outstanding achievements in physics, chemistry, physiology or medicine, literature, peace, and economics in various fields to encourage less destructive human endeavors. How's that for using something that you regret for good in this world? We are never limited by what we have done in the past. We are never limited by who we have been in the past. Everything that happens in our lives is an invitation to actualize our own untapped potential, to become our own greater yet to be, an invitation to give birth to who it is that we want to be in this world. The mistakes that we have made, the mistakes that we think we've made, and the consequent feelings that we have about those mistakes that we've made are really the voice of our own I amness telling us this is not who you are. It's the voice of the I am of your own being saying this is really not who you are. It's the voice of spirit saying, you've got this. Simply choose differently. Choose who it is you want to be. And then do that. And so I'd love to just lead you in a little meditation to let you kind of connect with that part of yourself. And so I invite you just to become still for a moment. And to become aware of that place within you where there is perfect stillness, centeredness. The place within you where there is no attachment to the outside world. Only the atmosphere of being. It is here lies our awareness of the infinite as all that is. The infinite within and as the world, as life, as ourselves. As we tune into this oneness, we experience a sense of peace. For that peace is innate to our beingness. It is here within that there is a deep and profound knowingness that all is well with our soul. Here, the wisdom of our own soul, the wisdom of the divine, comforts us in knowing that there are no true mistakes, only nudges to awaken. That no matter what we have done, we are loved and cherished by life itself. Here we understand that there is truly nothing to forgive. For all that we have done has been done out of a limited understanding of who we are. We are never judged by God, only loved and prodded forward into a greater understanding of the infinite potential that resides within us. The infinite potential that is always awaiting our conscious embodying of it. There is wisdom to be gained from every seeming mistake in our lives. We may choose to use those mistakes as stumbling blocks or as stepping stones. Stepping stones to experience a greater understanding and an actual experience of our own greatness, our own love, our own power, our own wholeness, and our own peace. We are spirit, the one living God, with all its divine attributes, clothed in human form. We are never limited by the past, but always invited and nudged forward to know ourselves as Spirit knows us. And so I invite you to ask that knowingness within you, how does Spirit know me? How does Spirit see me? And so I invite you to release the meditation and to just bring your awareness back to the room. Ernest Holmes said, "Human limitation has no existence from the standpoint of divinity." Human limitation has no existence from the standpoint of divinity. You are free to choose, and to choose again, and to choose again. Boundless potential is who you are. The past is gone and over and done. Who do you want to be now? Who do you want to be now? So my invitation to you is, when you are successful at something, to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? When you are successful at something, to ask yourself, in what way is this event, this thing, supporting me in becoming my greater yet to be? And when you feel like you've made a mistake, to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And in what way is this supporting me in being my greater yet to be? And when you feel that you've made a mistake, ask yourself that question. And then commit to doing that. And as a result, you will be growing and evolving You will be feeling satisfied in your life and fulfilled, and creating space for your own spirit and your own divine nature to come forward and express itself in this world. You will be acting as a beneficial presence to yourself, to those around you, and to the whole of life. So blessings to each and every single one of you on this path of awakening, this path of remembering, this path of bringing the light of the divine, that is the light of your own soul, into this world. Blessings to you. And so I invite you to join me as we turn our attention to the truth. The truth is that omnipresence of spirit is always closer than our very breathing. For that infinite presence that is a presence of absolute potential, that presence that is a presence of boundless good, that is wholeness and power and truth and light and love and peace and harmony and goodness, that presence not just surrounds us and envelops us and leads us and guides us and goes with us, but that presence also expresses itself within us as our own divine nature. Therefore, we can never be separate or apart from all of those qualities and characteristics of spirit, for they are innate to our beingness. The deepest and most beautiful parts of ourselves are always present here. And so today we tune into that, capital T, that within us. And that we recognize that it is always here calling our name. And sometimes it calls our name through our magnificent successes. And sometimes it is simply calling our name saying, hey, this is not who you are. And so today we listen to that gut feeling. We listen to that knowingness that is in our bones. And we recognize that it is the voice of the I am that I am within us. And so today we are led and guided into our most magnificent, loving, generous, satisfying lives. And so I speak this word not just about us in this room, but I speak this word about every single person on this planet. Recognizing that spirit is having its way within them right now. For it is that same presence of wisdom and of love, of wholeness and of peace that fills every single heart, that resides within every single body, that expresses itself through every person's thinking. And that right now it is unfolding itself in a way that is healing, in a way that prospers, in a way that uplifts and soothes and heals and creates a thriving world for humans, for animals, and for the planet itself. And of course, I speak this word about every single politician and world leader, president, king, leaders of every sort, recognizing that they too are an outpicturing of that highest God, and that it lives within them, and that it today is guiding their decisions and their actions in a way that serve the greatest and serve the best. That as we turn our attention to this truth, we create an opening for that to come into this world in a greater way. So we affirm that that is true. We see that, we know that, we hold to that, regardless of what appearances look like. And so it is with a grateful heart that I release these words of truth into that law that simply reflects them right back to us as our lived experience. And so I release this prayer in absolute faith and trust, and I say, and so it is. So I have just a couple of invitations for you. If you have not heard, we are having a women's retreat that's going to be in Big Bear, Thursday, July 17th through Saturday, July 19th. We'll be back here on Sunday. So if you are interested in that and have not yet signed up, come talk to me, and there's a sign-up sheet in the back. We would love to have you join us.
So I got an email about a women's film festival called Women's Voices Now, and I signed up for it. So I have a full month of access to a whole bunch of documentary films by women, about women and their lives, different aspects, young, old, lots of foreign, some in English, some not. And what I thought I would do is I go through the shorts, because there are a number of full-length films in the series. Go through those shorts, pick out a couple, and have you come over to my house on Friday afternoon and view them and chat about them. So if you'd like to come, let me know. If you don't have my address, maybe we can you have my number, you can text me, whatever. But I'm thinking 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon for a couple hours, and informal. Just come on over and we'll watch a couple, and they're really quite interesting. So this Friday. So Friday afternoon, this Friday at 3 o'clock, my house.
And just to let you all know our talks are available on our website. Mike is posting them. He has them posting each week, and Jonathan is editing them and posting them on our YouTube channel. They are available also. I have been sending out an email with a link to them, so you can forward that to your friends if you want to. And posting that on Facebook, so there's a link on Facebook as well. So I'd love for you to forward those things to people that you think might be interested. And we have prayer support after church. We have prayer shawls in the back if you'd like a prayer shawl. And we invite you to follow us on social media. So if you check in on Meetup, you used to be able to go in for like 6 weeks and say that you were coming, and that you were bringing 6 friends with you. And Meetup has changed their format now, and you can't do that now. You have to go in every single week, and only you get to come. You don't get to bring any friends. So I'm really, really asking all of you to go in and say that you're coming. They also used to just forward automatically what we had done last week, and they're not doing that anymore either, so I have to go in and create a blurb and post them. So I'm trying to post 3 or 4 at a time, so I really encourage you to go in and say that you're coming to those on a regular basis. Go in every week or go in every couple weeks and do that. So that's it for my invitations. So I invite you to repeat after me. Good fills my life now. I recognize it. I savor it. I own it. I live it. So it is.